Trisha dear, come eat your breakfast. I made you something special.
What is it, Mark?
Come and see.
I'm not really in the mood for... Oh,
Chocolate mousse. Your favorite.
for breakfast?
You deserve a treat.
You're an amazing husband. Thanks for being so patient with my moods. Where are the kids? Are they up?
I sent them off to school already.
Oh, wasn't that a bit early?
They wanted to get there early, to meet up with their study group.
They're such diligent kids. So studious.
They get that from their mom.
Mark, have you ever felt like maybe our life is just too perfect?
Every morning I wake up next to you, I know I've won the lottery.
But there's something about it. I can't put my finger on it. I wonder if everybody gets this feeling.
I have to get down to botany now, dear. Your bridge shift starts in 10 minutes, so you better finish your breakfast.
Signal coming in from Confederation High Command. Uh-oh. It's Admiral Graveman, and he's calling high priority. Should I pretend we're not home?
Put him on screen.
Captain Hardcase, it's good to see you again.
You too, Admiral. But I assume this isn't a social call?
Captain, what do you remember about Epsilon Gamma?
It was my first mission as a lieutenant on the Carmichael, over 20 years ago now. An asteroid impact rendered Epsilon Gamma B uninhabitable, and Captain Della put me in charge of coordinating with the refugees for their evacuation to Epsilon Gamma C.
You made quite an impression on them.
Saving a civilization from extinction will do that, sir. So what's up?
You'll recall there was an indigenous population on Epsilon Gamma C before you brought the refugees.
They were both the same species, both indigenous to Epsilon Gamma C. It's just that the ancestors of the refugees had been persecuted there and forced to migrate to Epsilon Gamma B almost a millennium earlier, so the resettlement was a homecoming.
Not a happy one for the people who were already there. They've been resisting the settlers from the start. They attacked the settlements in force in the first year, but were defeated on the battlefield.
Yes, sir. The settlers are a much more advanced people. Their technology is 100 years ahead.
Unfortunately, the indigenous population pivoted to terrorism. There have been scattered terrorist attacks on the settlements over the years. Government reprisals regularly kill the terrorist leaders, but new ones pop up. We've just seen the biggest escalation yet with a coordinated series of major terrorist attacks. Thousands of settlers killed and thousands more taken hostage. President Snork requested Confederation help, and he specifically requested you.
You don't sound enthusiastic about it.
I'm never enthusiastic about sticking the Confederation's collective nose into a hornet's nest, or the internal affairs of a non-member, but they're an important supplier of the fortimite our ships need for superluminal travel.
Well, this is terrorism. We can oppose the terrorists without taking sides in the political dispute.
We're not exactly a neutral party. We have relations with the settler government only. We brought the settlers there. Our materials purchases allow the settlers to thrive. But at the same time, President Snork has been unable to reach any lasting political settlement, and that continuing instability on a critical supply planet is a significant risk for the Confederation.
So what would you like me to do, Admiral?
Frankly, I don't know. Go and see what you find. See if you can do any good. Use your best judgment to evaluate the situation. Best case, determine how to create a lasting peace. Worst case, be helpful enough to Snork that he doesn't cut off our fortimite.
Understood, sir. I appreciate the honesty. Snork is an old friend. Hopefully that still counts for something.
Good luck, Captain Hardcase. You'll need it.
Setting course for Epsilon Gamma C.
Engage star drive at maximum.
Engaging star drive now. We should be there in 18 hours.
Lieutenant Beanie Bean, inform the crew of our mission.
I'd ask them to make sure they catch up on their rest today. We may not be getting much more sleep for a while.
Aye, sirs. Ordering everyone to be lazy and doze off right away.
QuietPlease.org presents Beyond Awakening.
Starring John Gauntz as Mac Hardcase.
Steph Knappe as Misty LaQuille.
Gwyneth Knight as Trisha Blackburn.
David Loftus as Clay Earhart.
Episode 21, A Dog by the Ears.
Another perfect landing.
I'll open the hatch.
It doesn't look like what I expected.
What were you expecting?
Bombed out buildings or some sign of battle. Not this beautiful, gleaming, clean city.
The indigenous villages probably look more like you'd expect.
Snork, you old devil. It's been a long time.
The hero of the homecoming returns at last. Welcome back, Captain Hardcase. And this must be your beautiful first officer you mentioned to me in your last holiday greeting hologram.
I'm Commander Misty LaQuille.
Lovely to meet you.
And I'm Ensign Trisha Blackburn.
And I'm Danvers from Security, if anyone cares.
This here is my Director of Anti-Terrorism Operations, Lentica Broom.
I've been looking forward to working with you, Captain Hardcase. I wrote my thesis on your tactics at the Battle of Barnard Star.
Oh, I'm that old, am I?
And on my left, my Minister of Mines, Mal Riff, who will try to bore you with business talk.
On behalf of our government and industry leaders and all of the people, I extend my hand in friendship. We appreciate our partnership in mutually beneficial trade with the Confederation. We're very happy to be hosting you, and I'm hopeful you'll be able to join me in a series of meetings with industry representatives so we can deepen our relationship on fortified exports and other points of mutual...
That's enough, Mal.
Yes, well, perhaps later, if there's time. We'll see.
Don't get his hopes up. The rest of these people are my security contingent. I'm afraid I don't know most of their names.
There are quite a lot of them, aren't there?
Difficult times. Now, let me take you back to our headquarters where we can get you caught up on the security situation.
Mr. President, I know Captain Hardcase helped in the evacuation, but how exactly did you two become friends?
I was the military liaison he worked with during what you call the evacuation, what we call the homecoming. We worked together every day for 3 months to save all these people, to bring us home and establish the society we enjoy today. And that creates a lifetime bond.
That it does.
You still have cars? I mean, ones that don't fly?
We've got flying cars, but they're inherently less safe from a security perspective. On the ground, we don't immediately plummet to our deaths if a lucky shot pierces the armor.
Not plummeting to my death is always nice.
The armor on this vehicle is impressive.
We do whatever we can to protect President Snork.
Why do so many people want him dead?
I'm only unpopular with the primitives, Ensign.
Primitives?
The people who were living here before our homecoming.
Did they agree to allow the refugees to settle here?
This is our ancestral planet too, and it was their ancestors violently persecuting our ancestors that drove the migration. We've only reclaimed what was stolen from us, and only because we had no other choice to survive.
The primitives were wasting this planet anyway. They fell hundreds of years behind our level of technology during the millennium they spent on their own.
They were too preoccupied with killing each other once we weren't around to kill anymore.
You're the same species, though, right?
Oh yes, just different cultures. Culture makes all the difference in the world.
When their children are adopted into our families, they come out fine. Their violence isn't genetic.
What's that other vehicle doing?
Down! Get down!
Danvers! They killed Danvers!
Come with me, Ensign. I'll get you to safety.
What? Wait. Oh, okay.
Can we help?
Where's Trisha going?
Stay inside the circle where we can protect you! We'll have us under control momentarily! They're dispersing! Unit 1, maintain security cordon! All other units, pursue the terrorists!
Director Broom, did your security forces take Trisha somewhere?
My people would never separate her from us. The terrorists must have taken her.
What is this place?
It's a cavern. Safer for everyone if you don't learn which one.
You live here?
Most of the time.
Do you enjoy that?
A lot more than I enjoy being topside when the invaders are raining bombs on our settlements.
You call the government the invaders?
That's what they are. Leader?
Well done, Sama.
I couldn't get Hardcase or the Quill, but I was able to capture this one.
I demand that you release me. When Captain Hardcase finds out you...
He'll be much more reluctant to kill us than if we didn't have a hostage from his crew.
Who are you?
They just call me leader. I find it safer not to share my name with more people than necessary.
You don't look like a terrorist leader.
And you don't look like I expected a Confederation officer to look. Which one are you?
Just call me Ensign, since you don't like names.
She's Trisha Blackburn, their helmsman. Will you be needing me further, leader?
Not today, Sam. Go get something to eat, and then get some sleep. We'll probably have a busy day tomorrow.
Thank you, leader.
I guess you can call being rounded up by security forces a busy day. Are you looking forward to it?
We're ready to die for our freedom.
And to kidnap and murder for it.
That too, when they leave us no alternative.
What do you mean, no alternative?
They flattened our villages, destroyed our infrastructure, our schools, killed thousands of children.
They only bomb your villages because your terrorists are hiding there.
Living there.
Whatever. You can't expect the government not to respond to attacks, and they can't always prevent collateral damage.
Trisha, may I call you Trisha?
No.
Trisha, you know we're absolutely no match for them in a conventional war. If we put together a traditional army, we'd be wiped out in a day. Sometimes terrorism is the only way a powerless people can be heard.
There are always non-violent alternatives. Why not negotiate?
Negotiate with those who want to destroy us from a position of extreme weakness, and they can revoke any concessions whenever they want. Dandra!
Here, leader.
Dandra, tell our guest about where you grew up.
It was such a beautiful little farmhouse in the countryside near Yammock Hill. Our family, my mother's ancestors, have been working in that same plot for 300 years. My parents raised me there with my 3 brothers and 2 sisters. They're all dead now.
War casualties. And what happened to that farm, Dandra?
The invaders took it 10 years ago. We were worried when their settlement expanded to the edge of our property. Then, after some little scuttle somewhere, some pretext, they declared they had to seize our farm to build a security wall to protect themselves.
But you were compensated, right?
They gave us some of their currency we have no use for at all.
Why can't you use it?
All we really want is our land, and they won't sell us that.
Why is land so important? The population of this planet is under 1 billion. It could support 10 times that.
Isn't there somewhere special to you, Trisha? Somewhere almost holy?
Well, my family has a cattle ranch on Earth. Been with us for 5 generations. My brother Peter runs it now. I try to make it back every year for the holidays if I can get the leave.
Suppose this year the holidays roll around, you come back to Earth, and you find people from one of your human space colonies have returned and claimed your family's cattle ranch as their ancestral land. They won't let your family live there anymore, but now your brother Peter works as a ranch hand for a pittance on what should be his ranch, and they expect him to be grateful. How would you feel?
Did you hear the latest spring ball results?
Impressive ship you've got here, Mac.
Thank you. We like it?
Your sensors are a lot better than ours. I bet you can locate all their tunnels, all their underground hideouts, and your ship's lasers could take them out from orbit.
I had 5 credits on the lieutenant.
We're not here to fight your war for you, my friend.
There are over 1,000 innocent hostages still believed to be alive in their hideouts, including your Trisha Blackburn. Shouldn't it be part of your mission to save the hostages? Or do you intend to leave your ensign to die?
Do you have that report engineering requested?
I see your point.
I could adjust our sensors to distinguish human life signs from Epsilon Gammons. If we can pinpoint Ensign Blackburn, then we'll know where at least one of the hostages is.
Make it so.
I'll have that done in a few hours.
We've already prepared a counterterrorism assault team, ready to go as soon as you provide coordinates.
Meanwhile, I'd be happy to show you more of the Chimera.
This is a hollow projection of our entire system?
That's right.
Every last little asteroid and comet.
Down to the meter resolution. And you can zoom out to the whole galaxy.
Really makes you feel your place in the scale of the cosmos, doesn't it?
Yeah, that it does.
Mac, I've got to say I envy you.
Why? You're the president of a whole damn planet.
And that responsibility weighs on me. Every decision I make is second-guessed. Everything is life and death, and I have to live with the consequences forever.
Well, you don't think I have to live with consequences of my decisions?
Of course you do in your mind, but not in physical space. You move on to a new planet every week. Whatever happened at the last planet isn't shoved in your face every day. I envy your freedom to move on, your variety of experiences. But as president, I can never leave yesterday's issues behind. We've been dealing with the same fundamental problems for 20 years, the same security issues, and the only permanent solution anyone can formulate is too cruel.
Do you mean genocide?
I'd never condone it, of course, but let me tell you, a lot of people are clamoring hard for it, and I spend a lot of my time trying to convince them not to judge all the primitives for the actions of some. But the longer this terrorism goes on, and the worse it gets, the more of my people lose faith in the possibility of coexistence.
There has to be a peaceful solution. There's always a peaceful solution.
There is one middle ground option, a peaceful option, but it'll take a lot of time.
What's that?
We can take away their children. We've done that with identified terrorists, but hatred of us is so ingrained in their culture that I think we have to do the whole population. I know that must sound terrible to your innocent Confederation ears, but if we raise their children in our households, they won't be brainwashed into becoming our enemies.
Wouldn't that exterminate their culture?
In a generation, sure. But better to exterminate a culture than to have to keep exterminating actual people. It's for their own good as much as ours. Their children deserve a chance at a decent life.
There are way more of them than there are of you. How could your people raise all of their children?
We'd have to sterilize as many of the primitives as possible, of course. This is all just theoretical, you understand. One possible way to end the suffering.
Suffice it to say, I don't think the Confederation would approve.
Figured they wouldn't. But we're not a member world. They have no jurisdiction.
You know, you sound like a man who needs a vacation.
If only that were possible.
What do you do to relax? You used to be a good hoverball player.
I'm getting a bit old for hoverball. When I need a break, I like to find a quiet room like this one, and then I play music.
You've learned an instrument.
Ha! No time for that. I just mean I listen to it. There are a lot of great selections in your Confederation cultural archives.
Huh. What are your favorites?
I'm particularly partial to some classical composers from your Earth. Here, I'll pull up a favorite for you.
I don't recognize it.
César Franck's Symphony in D minor, second movement.
Why such a low-quality recording?
Authenticity. I like to hear historical music in the context of history. This is a 1941 performance by your Earth's San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. There's such an order, such a flow to classical. It forces your thoughts to organize, don't you think?
Huh, I suppose.
Captain, President, I've pinpointed where they're holding Trisha.
That's great.
It's a large cavern, about 100 life signs in there. No telling if the rest of them are hostages or terrorists or both.
We should strike right away before they can move her somewhere more secure. Send me the coordinates.
Hold on. I have a condition.
What condition?
I want Commander L'Aquille to lead the raid. Your people must take their orders from her.
What happened to not wanting to fight our war for us, Mac?
We're already responsible for this raid by using our sensors, so we need to conduct it according to our priorities.
Which are?
Minimum possible casualties on both sides.
Your ensign's life is at stake here, and you want to risk people to ensure more terrorists live?
The Confederation values all life.
And you want to put the mission at risk by appointing an amateur to lead? No offense to your commander. I'm sure your people are great at what they normally do. But my forces are anti-terrorism experts who are practiced in fighting this exact enemy on this exact battlefield.
I can't delegate responsibility to you for an operation that the Confederation will be morally culpable for. Commander L'Aquille will lead the assault. I trust her to get the job done.
Fine. Have it your way, Mac. Have it on your conscience. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Dandra, tell me about the leader.
What would you like to know?
Anything. All I know about him is that he murders civilians.
How do you imagine him? Do you think he whips people for his amusement? Eats babies for breakfast?
Something like that.
He's just like anyone else. He loves hoverball and music. He studies philosophers from around the galaxy. He reads bedtime stories to his children.
He has children? The child killer has children?
Is that so hard to believe, Miss Blackburn?
Mrs. I have kids too. A boy and a girl.
You'd be surprised how much we have in common. We don't have to be enemies.
If you don't want to be my enemy, try setting me free.
I'd love to, but I can't trust you.
If you were released, they'd hunt us down until we're all dead.
And more importantly, it'd be a setback to the cause of freeing our families and friends, our people.
Why can't you just split the planet down the middle and call it a day and let everyone get on with their lives in peace?
Who has more claim to a planet? The people who have always lived there, or the ones who invaded 20 years ago?
But their ancestors came from here too.
Ancestors. Nobody alive. Nobody who anybody alive remembers. Nobody who anybody that anybody alive can remember could have remembered. It's irrelevant ancient history, merely a political rationalization, propaganda of the conqueror grasping for justification for their crimes.
I suppose you've got a point there, but you should have welcomed them. They had nowhere else to go when their planet was destroyed.
Did they ask us to welcome them? No, they never asked for asylum. They just came and they took. They never contemplated for a second the idea of integrating with us, living under our laws. It was always about taking our land and turning it into theirs, remaking it in their image, and ultimately remaking us and forcing us under their laws and their control, second-class citizens on our own planet.
But you can't hold every one of them responsible for the mistakes of their leaders. You can't just declare them all guilty and kill them.
What other choice is there? Make no mistake, Trisha, this is a genocide. They're squeezing us, depriving us, taking more of our children for re-education until eventually we will cease to be as a people. That's their ultimate goal. When you fight for the very existence of your people, you do whatever you have to do, even if it feels repugnant to your morals.
So you do feel it's wrong? You feel guilty?
Of course. I hate what we have to do. I feel terrible about who we have to kill. But my own conscience is a price I'm more than willing to pay for the survival of my people.
I suppose I can understand that. Dinner's ready.
Come dine with us, Trisha, as our guest.
But Director Broom, our goal is not to kill anyone.
Correction. Your objective is to kill as few as possible. We can use gas on the bulk of them in the cavern, but non-lethal means won't work on the sentries.
Why not?
Too much of a chance for them to raise the alarm. I'll have my snipers take out the sentries. Clean shots to the head. Instant death. Then we can move in safely.
Well, okay. Are you ready?
I've already got them in position. Perfectly hidden. Snipers, you have a go. Now it's our turn. Let's go!
Left passage, 50 meters.
You stay here, Commander. Put your mask on. Advance speed. You're with me. I've got your gas canister ready.
Yes, Director.
Now! Looks like they're all down. Commander, come join us.
I heard some laser shots.
A few of them had pockets of breathable air that lasted longer, and we had to shoot them before they could escape.
But I trust the casualties were light.
Very light. More importantly, none on our side.
So, shall we move in?
Watch out for traps when you move forward.
What sort of traps?
Primitive traps. Obscured holes, gunpowder-based weapons triggered by wires, that sort of thing. Anything that looks odd. My team is already clearing the room. Hopefully they'll find them all.
All right, Director. I'll try to stick close to you.
3 o'clock! Check it out!
Got it.
This one's disabled. All clear over here.
I see Trisha, over there.
Unfortunately, she seems to be the only hostage here.
I hope you'll find more of your people soon.
We can find them all right now if your ship helps. Officer Flurkey, start moving the terrorists to a secure room and bind them for transport.
My readings show the gas has dissipated enough to take off our masks now.
I'm going to wake Trisha. Can you hear me, Trisha? What happened?
We came to rescue you.
Blackburn, can you identify the leader of this terrorist cell for us? Which one is he?
Right over here, the one with the brown forehead ridge and long hair.
Thank you. Commander LaQuille, please revive the leader for a moment.
All right.
Can you hear me, terrorist?
Lentica Brum, the Butcher of Balderville. Snork's most vicious animal.
And the last face you'll ever see. Do you know why?
Because killing us is who you are.
Because you kidnap and murder civilians. Because you're no better than an animal. A savage who kills for the joy of killing. And will never have peace while you live.
You'll never find the rest of the hostages. alive.
You just murdered him?
Why did you do that? He wasn't going to talk. He was too dangerous to let live. And now he could serve as an example for others.
You could have held a trial.
They organize jailbreaks. They find ways to direct attacks from jail. And more good people get killed.
The leader was not a bad person. He was fighting for justice the only way he could.
Trisha, surely you don't think anything could justify terrorizing civilians?
The civilians are still invaders, and there's no chance of beating the military. You have to attack the enemies you can defeat.
I believe the Earth term for this is Stockholm Syndrome. It's not unusual for captives to merge praising their captors. Do you have a ship psychologist?
No, we don't.
Excuse me, Commander, but we do.
We do?
Dr. Peterson.
Dr. Peterson is on the Chimera?
He's been with us for a year, Commander.
Tell me how you felt when you were first captured.
Scared, at first.
But not later. When did the fear begin to fade?
When everything settled down. They got out of mission mode and started talking to each other about normal everyday stuff. And I realized they were just people like anyone else.
Was that a surprise to you?
Not intellectually, but actually feeling it in the moment as the captive is different. Realizing that each of them must have a lifetime full of reasons that brought them to the point of abducting you. And then they invited me to eat with them. And as we ate, they did their best to explain.
And you found their explanation convincing?
Don't you think the indigenous people have a right to govern their own planet?
They get to vote for their own leadership in their own areas. And they weren't invaded. These were refugees returning to their homeland. And they were immediately greeted with the same violence that had driven them off centuries before. So, of course, they had to create their own areas and restrict freedom of movement for security.
You're making excuses for them.
And you're making excuses for brutal murders. But I understand why. Bonding with your captors is a survival tactic.
How's that?
It helps you believe you can survive. It helps you forge some level of connection that can make your captor see you as human enough to keep alive. If you think about it, there's no situation where quickly forming a personal bond with someone could be more beneficial.
So you think I'm humanizing monsters because it's what I needed to do to survive?
Yes. But also, monsters are just people who seem a lot like anyone else. A serial killer can be charming and humble, can seem just like a friend, or can even be a friend. Everybody has positive qualities, but they shouldn't make us lose sight of their horrible deeds.
It's good to see you looking lively, Mr. McGuy.
Can I help you with something, Commander?
In an emergency, how quickly could you reroute controls from the bridge to engineering?
You mean without someone on the bridge releasing control?
That's right.
Maybe 5 minutes to reroute controls manually? Why?
The captain wants to know.
Come in.
I trust you're comfortable, Mr. President? I was surprised to hear you wanted to remain aboard.
For the moment, this seems like the place I can do the most good.
I wish I could be sure of what you meant by that.
Mac, I asked for you because I thought you'd help us, but you and your people keep second-guessing us. You weren't like this before.
Things aren't as simple as 20 years ago.
Why not? We're fighting ruthless terrorists who target innocent women and children. We have to make this planet safe for us, and that requires some choices that idealistic Confederation types aren't comfortable with.
Our refusal to compromise our idealistic principles has served us well.
20 years ago, you helped us carve out a secure colonization zone and defend it. All I'm asking you to do is help me re-secure it.
but you've expanded your zone to 10 times the original size and taken the most desirable land.
Our population is a third as large as theirs. Why should we live on a tenth of the land when we have the ability to take our fair share?
It's so easy for you to rationalize taking anything you want, isn't it?
Lieutenant Hardcase would have helped me. I don't even know who you are anymore.
No, you don't.
Are you denying my request for help?
I haven't made that decision yet.
Clay, if I didn't know better, I'd say you're softening up.
So, have a ball tomorrow evening?
Sure, but we'll have to be done before 1800.
Let me guess. Visiting the captain's quarters? Come in, Ensign. Up on the table.
Bye, Trisha. I hope you're feeling better.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Ensign, I've come up with a little something for you.
What is it, Doc?
Try glosphorpan-propylquinol.
In English, please?
A shot that'll counteract your Stockholm Syndrome.
How's that possible?
Well, technically there's really not much evidence for Stockholm Syndrome in the first place.
So you've cured something that doesn't exist?
But there are chemical changes in your brain when you bond with someone. Chemicals that associate certain emotions with them. I can inhibit those bonds.
It'll make me dislike the rebels?
It'll allow you to evaluate them and their leader without any emotional predisposition. It'll make you totally dispassionate and objective about them, so you can make up your own mind.
But I already made up my own mind.
If you're sure you're right, then you'll come to the same decision again.
I suppose there's no harm in proving myself right if it'll make Captain Hardcase listen to me. The effects are reversible?
Sure, of course. Hold out your arm.
How long until it takes effect?
It already has.
Come in. What is it, Ensign?
Sir, may I ask, what are you planning to do?
Regarding the conflict on the planet?
Are you going to help Snork destroy the rebels?
You mean the terrorists?
Sometimes a terrorist is just a rebel who runs out of options.
You're sure Dr. Earhart's injection worked?
I'm sure. I'm not emotionally involved. This is an intellectual issue.
Well, I'd love to make both sides negotiate, but how am I supposed to do that when neither of them wants to?
You don't have to.
I don't.
This isn't your problem. It's none of your business. This isn't even a Confederation member planet. Outsiders meddling in other people's business trying to make things better has a very long track record of making things worse.
Because the third party, me in this case, can never understand things as well as the principal actors do. Everything looks so much simpler from the outside.
And so you're prone to thinking you have the solution, imposing it, and then discovering it was a terrible mistake.
But we were sent here to do something.
With respect, sir, we were sent here to evaluate whether we should do something. You don't have to do Snork's dirty work for him.
And I don't want to. But if I don't, the Confederation may lose a critical supply of Fortimite.
Sometimes that's the cost of having principles.
And if that means we lose a war to Clerg?
Better to lose to the Clerg than to lose ourselves.
Easy to say that right now, while we're not technically at war.
Think about it, sir. That's all I ask.
I will. Thank you for your insights, Ensign.
They seem to take it okay.
I think they were expecting it. But keep your guard up.
Oh, I always do. Except with you, of course.
Captain, Commander.
President Snork, Director Broom, and the Minister of Mines. Sorry, I forgot your name. I didn't expect to find you all on my bridge.
It offers a beautiful view of our beautiful world. And I wanted to ask you one last time before we depart. Will you reconsider? Will you help us make that beautiful world into the paradise it should be?
The captain already told you this isn't our fight.
That's final?
That's final.
If that's the way you're going to be, you leave us no alternative.
Hands in the air! Commander LaQuille, that means every last one of your tentacles! Everyone step away from your stations, now!
Do as she says!
Do as they say, for now.
Director, take over the science station and scan the subsurface for terrorist hideouts. Mal and I will keep them covered while you work.
It'll just take a few minutes, Mr. President.
Computer, give us some music. Symphony in D minor.
Don't tell me you've hijacked my ship just so you can make everyone listen to your music.
Merely setting an appropriate backdrop for the end of 20 years of terror. This is our moment of victory, our moment of peace.
You'll find the Confederation doesn't take hijackings lightly.
I'll return your ship to you in a few minutes, and your Confederation will have a fait accompli.
Admiral Graveman will still demand your extradition and trial.
If that comes to pass, so be it. I'll give myself up. I'll sacrifice myself for my people so they can have peace.
This won't help your people. The more people you kill, the more new terrorists you create. You radicalize every survivor. The sons and daughters, the spouses, the friends of those you kill will hate you for the rest of their lives.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't leave any survivors.
I know you, Snork. The friend I remember, the man I worked with, can't have changed so much that you're a genocidal maniac.
You don't understand it all, Mac. This is for peace. It's all been for peace.
Can't you see you're acting just like them? Just as bad as the terrorists?
Director Broom, I trust that noise means their sensors finished mapping the terrorist tunnels.
Yes, Mr. President. The whole network. It runs underneath their two biggest cities and into our capital.
We can't take out the part under our capital city without hurting our own people on the surface. That part will have to wait for an assault team. Target areas under their territory.
Mr. President, that'll kill thousands of their innocent civilians.
Collateral damage is unavoidable. A small sacrifice for peace.
My friend, listen to your music. Let it calm you. Don't do this horrible, rash, monstrous thing. Listen.
I hear it. Harmony and order. The same harmony and order we're bringing to Epsilon Gamma C, once and for all.
Murder isn't harmony!
Director Broom, open fire.
No!
Mr. President, it's not working!
Try switching to torpedoes.
Still no response. It's ignoring my commands.
Good work disabling weapons, Mr. Mackay.
Thank you, sir. Kind of you to open your comms so I could hear everything.
It's over, Snork.
So it is. The great Mac Hardcase, the hero of the Homecoming, has lived too long and become the villain who condemns us to another century of terror.
Your cowardice prevents peace.
We can't negotiate with terrorists.
You don't even have to. Pay them fairly. Stop exploiting them. Stop taking their land. Honor your prior agreements, even if some of them don't. Dismantle your settlements that keep encroaching into more and more of the indigenous territory.
Have the courage to remove their need to attack.
You realize what an enormous challenge evacuating the settlements would be?
I helped you through a bigger evacuation, remember?
Maybe if we could be absolutely certain the terrorist would permanently surrender, we could vote on it. But I think it just emboldened them. We'd be showing weakness.
They have to offer us something in return if they want something.
In any negotiation, if you have the upper hand, only a fool gives it up.
You don't get a cookie for fulfilling your moral obligations. Solving problems is going to require bravery. The bravery to give up some of your safety so other people can have their rights too. The bravery to extend your hand to those who might chop it off. The bravery to give people their rights even when that threatens your power. And the bravery to treat each person as an individual and not punish him for the crimes of his peers.
How dare you lecture us? You, of all people, the traitor who I thought was my friend. Don't presume that your brief time here gives you the knowledge to tell those of us who have been here what to do. It's not your place.
You're right. It's not my place. I don't want to be here, but you called us here.
That was a mistake.
Yes, it was. Now, get off my ship.
Gladly.
This will have serious repercussions for our Fortamite supply deal with the Confederation.
Understood.
Well, that was one of the most frustrating missions I've ever been part of.
Where to now, Captain?
Lay in a course for Theta Omega D.
The Pleasure Planet?
We're overdue for some shore leave. Engage star drive as soon as President Snork's shuttle has departed.
Aye, sir.
Don't you want me to ask Admiral Graveman for permission?
He's not going to be happy that I lost him the Fortamite contract. And if the Admiral doesn't agree that we've earned a vacation, he can go fuck himself.
Should I send him a diagram of how to do that?
Radio silence, Beanie Bean. Radio silence.
I suppose some recreation would be nice.
My kids are itching to go planetside. Been months since they got to leave the ship.
Commander L'Aquil, Doc Earhart wants to see you in medical.
Tell him I'm on my way.
Sure thing. Hope whatever you've got isn't contagious. Cap, Shuttle Bay reports your friend and his minions have departed. Can't say I'll miss the bastards.
Well then, get us the hell out of here, Ensign Blackburn.
Engaging superluminal drive.
What's up, Doc?
I'm bored.
You called me down here because you're bored?
I thought my work having a purpose here would mean I'd enjoy it. But every time I treat a patient, it feels so absurd. They're not real people, not real health issues. I don't worry about whether they live or die anymore because they've never lived.
I thought you never cared much if your patients lived or died anyway.
Ha ha. Maybe I was reckless with patients, but it always came with the thrill of danger. Now there's no suspense, no excitement, no emotional investment.
Isn't there anyone down here you can talk to?
There isn't. You and Trisha are the only real people on this ship, and we promised not to let Trisha know what's going on. So it's just you. You're literally the only option I've got if I want a friend.
Oh, you really know how to make someone feel flattered.
Sorry. Guess I'd better try to learn to be nicer to you since you're all I've got.
You have that code phrase thing you arranged. Just say it and you'll be back in the real world.
I should have told him to make it so I can click my heels together 3 times and say, "There's no place like home."
If you do that, maybe you'll end up in Kansas instead of Sacramento.
How is it that you seem to be enjoying this farce, though?
It's not perfect, but I have my Cthulhian body and Mac is here.
Don't you think what you're doing with him is a bit weird? A bit inappropriate?
Why?
It looks to me like you've started a relationship with a dead man. A dead man you didn't even have a relationship with when he was alive.
I wasn't ready then, and now I am. It's going well.
Or maybe the human Mac Hardcase wasn't as appealing as a simulation that's made for you.
Well, Clay, if you're just going to criticize me, I'm going back to the bridge. Have fun down here by yourself.
I'm surprised you didn't cancel this session, Trisha. What do you need me for, now that Dr. Earhart gave you the anti-Stockholm Syndrome drug?
Couldn't I still be traumatized? I was abducted by terrorists and saw one of my shipmates killed. What was his name? Danvers?
Are you traumatized?
No. I'm here about something different.
Do tell.
Well, maybe it relates. Because I should be traumatized, but I'm not, because what's been happening lately in my life, it hasn't been feeling quite real.
You don't feel your life is real?
Well, yeah, I guess that's about the size of it.
It's called derealization. Not uncommon, especially for people on deep space missions. The emotional numbness you've described is an expected symptom.
What would you suggest for me, Dr. Peterson? How can I make my life feel real again?
Shore leave. Put your feet on the ground. Connect to a world in a situation where you can relax and let your guard down, and you'll feel reality again.
How fortunate that we happen to be en route to the galaxy's finest pleasure planet.
Beyond Awakening, Episode 21, A Dog by the Ears, was written and produced by Paul Nerum. Featured in the cast were
Patrick McCook as President Snork,
Gwyneth Knight as Trisha Blackburn,
John Gauntz as Mac Hardcase,
Adam Wade as leader,
Bryn Moore as Director Lentica Broom,
Steph Knappe as Misty LaQuille,
David Loftus as Clay Earhart,
Alex Foote as Dr. Peterson,
Roger Arnold as Admiral Graveman,
Sandra Murphy as Dandra,
Corey Kolf as Minister of Mines, Mal Riff,
Victoria Vahidi as Lieutenant Snabs Beanie Bean,
Andrew Brisbane as Mark,
Richard N. as Sama,
Kurt Castor as Engineer Gray McGuy,
Troy Cram as Danvers,
Richard N. as the First Planetary Security Officer,
Dan Stab as the Second Planetary Security Officer,
Sam Lumo as the Third Planetary Security Officer,
Paul Nerum as the ship's computer. This is Paul Nerum. Special thanks to our backers who made this season possible: Jamie Henderson, Mal Stewart, Sydney Amania, Joanne Phillips, and Dave. Music is licensed from Joel Studler and Creative Commons Zero and public domain sources. No artificial intelligence was used in the making of this episode. To learn more about Beyond Awakening or support the show, go to quietplease.org/awakening. Thanks for listening.